Hey everybody, this is Kenny C here from Chilling with Jeff and Kenny C, bringing you an interview. And my guest at this time is a recording artist from Canada. His new record entitled Weightless is available on iTunes. I'm joined with Will Ardell. He is with me right now. Hello, Will.
Hey, Kenny, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing real good, and thank you for joining me for this interview. I truly appreciate it.
No, my pleasure, anytime.
And I definitely would like to get into this record entitled Reckless in just a moment. But before we do so, how did you got started in music, man?
Kind of a longer story, I guess, but one winter, I was about 18 or so, I broke my foot at work, and my parents had bought me a guitar there that just before Christmas, and I never really had a chance to play it, so winter when I was kind of off for about 8 weeks with a broken foot, I just sat around and played guitar and realized that, hey, maybe I'm not too bad at this. Started writing some songs and some music, and that's kind of where the original beginning of it was. And then I went to college in Lethbridge, Alberta. I just started playing in some bands over there and helping write songs and stuff. And then about the last 4 years now, I kind of branched out on my own, and it's exploded from there. So it's kind of the background of it, and now I'm just progressing forward and letting her come.
Were there any artists or bands that influenced you to get into music per se? Was there any one or any genre of music that stood out to you that made you want to become a recording artist?
I'll tell you what, I have a real cross section of what I listen to normally, but I think growing up in the area I did in Saskatchewan, it's very rural. It's not a lot of population, so I grew up listening to a lot of country, as was kind of the main thing here. But of course, Johnny Cash is one of the big ones. Jonathan Roses, when their first album came out, Appetite for Destruction, was a huge influence on me. A lot of that later 90s, early 2000s, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, of course, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, all guys like that were really good songwriters. And I also did a lot of listening to like NWA and people like that when they came out back in my generation. Those are some really kick-butt lyrics, and you could really feel the emotion of what they were singing. They were telling their stories of their places, and I always had a huge respect for any artist that did that. So yeah, I learned to rap. I learned hip hop. I was all over the map a lot of times. But, I can't really say there was any specific influence, but it'd be a combination of all of them.
That sounds like a blend of rock. It sounds like a blend of country, some folk music, which kind of leads to my next question. What would be the best way to describe your music? Do you consider yourself one genre of music, or do you consider something that you blend genres together and make it your own?
I would like to think it's something we kind of blend all elements of music and make it my own. I guess if you were going to classify it, it would probably fall into more of the country or the country rock category. But I always wanted to be able to have my own sound and to make my music so it was immediately recognizable, and to be able to tell my stories of my people where I was born and raised, and the people I worked with growing up, and the environments that I worked in. And that's what I've always attempted to do. I don't want to be just another singer-songwriter out there that sounds just like the last guy. So if I can avoid that by writing and write good music at the same time, man, that's the way to be.
And that's definitely understandable. I mean, when it comes to music in general, every artist should want to sound different or do something different, be more
Mm-hmm.
unorthodox, think outside the box, if you will. But
Yeah.
it feels like nowadays a lot of artists, mostly on the mainstream, they focus on what's going on right now. What's the trend that's buzzing across the charts, etc. Do you feel like that's too much of people following
Yeah.
trends?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky thing because, the way to make good money right off the bat is you got to try to follow, what's popular and what's current. But at the same time, you don't if you don't ever take a chance, you don't ever have that chance of reaping the rewards either. So I think it's from an artist perspective. There's a lot of artists out there, like even Machine Gun Kelly, for example. I love listening to Machine Gun Kelly because he sounds so different than a lot of the rappers out there. You look at some of the rock guys. There's a few rock bands out there that are very diverse and dynamic. That to me is what really attracts it, because somebody that's not following the mainstream way of doing things and talking about the same things, and you can tell is a real artist. I mean, the songs are coming from the heart, from the soul, and they think outside the box, being diverse. And radio has a tendency to maybe limit you to some extent, but as an artist, that being limited is the last thing you want.
I guess in these times of, you gotta do whatever it takes to get yourself heard. And
absolutely,
yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned Machine Gun Kelly, because I just so happen to be a fan of him, and I seen him perform. I think it was over 2 years ago. The audience was crazy. It was quite a show. It's probably the first. It was the first music concert that I actually went to, and man, he got the crowd rocking. And you are right. He definitely is an example of someone that's stays true to himself and not afraid to, go the other way when artist goes the same route or whatever. I'm definitely a fan.
Absolutely, and he's writing about stuff that's true to him, and the way he delivered his vocal stylings, his rhymes, man, it's unique. And I think that was the same thing with Eminem when he came out, man. He was just immediately recognizable, and he's gone into some subjects as far as Eminem's kind of gotten mainstream in a sense of what radio play is, but I mean, the guy's coming up with stuff that's completely legit, and there's realism and honesty to it. And I think as any songwriter in any genre, whether it's country or hip hop or rock or folk, as long as you stay with that integrity and that artistic integrity, to make those songs are real to you and they're real to the people around you, man, you can't go wrong. You've already served your soul, and that's the best way.
Absolutely. And as long as artists know what they have and what they believe in and what they know, what they are familiar with, I mean, music touches people, whether people realize it or not. I mean, people can listen to a Will Ardell song, and then when that song is heard, they'd be like, "Oh, wait a minute, this guy must know me or something." I must have gone through the same thing that the subject of the song. It's just
or you can tell that artist has been through what he's talking about, because he's saying it. You just know, right? You know when someone's pulling the wool over your eyes and they haven't been through those lyrics they're singing about, and that honesty and that realism goes a long way when it comes to art.
Absolutely, man. So you recently released a record called Weightless. It's available on iTunes. Talk about what was it like working on the record, and for people that may not be familiar with your work, talk to people of what to expect from this record if they so choose to give it a listen.
Well, Reckless is kind of a reflection of, I guess, the last 20, I shouldn't say 20, but maybe 10 years of my life in my 20s there, when the guy had too much testosterone and not enough brain. So you're kind of running around doing crazy stuff and getting yourself in situations that, as you get older, probably look back and say, that wasn't so smart. But, it deals with when a guy was drinking too much and doing other substances, and the people and the stories that have come from that, and of course all the individuals that I met throughout my years in the workforce. Did a lot of heavy labor jobs and got to know a lot of people, and I always loved listening to their stories and trying to make them into songs. Johnny Cash was one that was really good at that. He'd tell you a story and you'd listen to it from start to finish. It was really cool that way. So that's kind of what Reckless is about. It's about those reckless years of your life, probably from 18 to 30, when you're out there, not listening to advice, just having a blast, and hopefully not hurting anybody along the way, but yourself or anything like that. So that was the kind of the theme of the album, and we wanted to do it in a way that it kind of had some testicular fortitude to it. It was real ballsy.
Well, from the songs that you sent me a couple of weeks ago, it definitely has a feel to it, and it's definitely relatable. When it comes to the title "Reckless," because let's face it, we all have been reckless on something. It doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
have to be drugs per se,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely an appealing record, and it's definitely something that a lot of fans out there should check it out. It's available on iTunes. The name of the record is called
Yeah.
Weightless, and yeah, there you go. Just check it out.
Yeah, you bet, man. No, I'm really excited about it. We've had some great reviews on it, and then for the people to kind of know what genre it is, like I said, it's more in the country, the old school country, a little bit of that rock and roll flair to it. So if it's your thing and you like stories and stuff of that nature, man, it's right up your alley.
So do you already? Well, I think you already have a single for the record. Talk about the first single off the record.
Yeah, Spokes in the Wheel is one that's it's been here on Canadian radio here now for about 3 weeks, and it's really flying up the charts. And it's kind of written because I used to do a lot of work in the oil fields, and I was a lumberjack for quite a while, and got to know a lot of the men around there, and it's so much fun, of course. But this song is just kind of written in a sense to maybe give tribute to all the people in life that you don't necessarily hear much about. They're not publicized, but they keep the world going. And then it's not the bankers and the managers. It's these people that do the grunt and shovel jobs and are just the ones that keep the world turning. So that's what the homage of that song is about.
That's awesome, man. And everybody go check that out. Check out that single, and if you can, request it on your radio station and
Absolutely.
get this man heard. So that being said, I'm sure a lot of people would love to hear that perform in person someday. And that being said, do you have any plans of some upcoming shows, some concerts coming up?
Yeah. Right now I'm back in Canada. I got a couple shows lined up in Canada here in Saskatchewan. One on actually January 25th is the first show we're doing with the album. Then I got a few more that I haven't exactly got the date scheduled for them yet. We're kind of doing a cross Canada thing coming up this spring, and then I'll be back down the States this summer, and I'll be confirming the dates while we're playing down in the U.S. So, I'm really looking forward to getting to meet the people and play our music loud and proud and get rowdy.
Get rowdy indeed. So, if you can have a dream collaboration, it could be with any artist or band, it could be indie or mainstream, dead or alive, but if you can have that dream collaboration, what would your collaboration be? Who would you want to collaborate with the most?
I'll tell you what, we lost in the country field. We lost a good guy by the name of George Jones this last year, and I would love to have been able to sit down there with George Jones, and he's right up there with, of course, Johnny Cash, one of the pioneers of the rebel rock and roll types, and so many diverse musicians have covered Johnny Cash's songs. I don't know if you ever did see the video for God's Gonna Cut You Down by Johnny Cash, but it was basically a video done with how many people Johnny Cash has influenced in the industry, and there was like Jay-Z, Iggy Pop, Sheryl Crow. I mean, the list goes on and on. It was really cool to see that. Johnny Cash, man, I'd probably be the highest on the list, I gotta say, and that'd have been George Jones.
Definitely George Jones, a true pioneer. I mean, it feels like nowadays people get so caught up of what's going on in music today, but fans seem to forget about the pioneers, about the people who paved the way.
Yeah.
for the
Oh yeah,
artists of today?
yeah, absolutely. You look at like in rock or even hip hop. It's like you got to pay tribute to the ones that got you there. You know, with any kind of music, whether it's gangster rap or rock and roll, or you got to remember those people that start the industry, because that's the ones that have opened up the doors for all of us. So you got to treat them with utmost respect and make sure that their legacy and their music lives on.
Well said, Will. Well said. And for people that wants to hear more of your music or learn more of your work per se, why don't you go ahead and promote your links, let people know how they can learn more from you.
You bet. If you want to check out my website, it's www.willardell.com, and that has all my iTunes links. There's some videos on there, just some info of me. If you got Facebook, which I'm sure everybody does, you can go check me out on Facebook at facebook.com/Will Ardell. And if you got want to check out some of my videos and stuff that we've done, you can go to youtube.com/Will Ardell, and that's where all my info will be, and should be iTunes links, and you name it. Send me a message or whatever you want. I sure appreciate it.
And my last question for you, Will, is if you can give anyone advice, any aspiring artists advice to get into the music industry, get started at least, what would your advice be?
I would say never quit learning and perfecting your craft, your lyrics, your playing, and for one thing, never take no from an answer. No is an answer from anybody. You're going to have 100 doors tell you no, and there's that one door that's going to say yes. And just never give up and follow your heart and what you believe, man. That's all I can tell you, because that's going to take you far in the music industry, and it's going to take you far in life as well.
That is absolutely true, man. I mean, all it takes in life is one person to say, yes, I believe in your work. I believe that you're the real deal. So that's definitely.
And you have to believe in yourself too, because there's going to be a lot of people that won't. But always have that firm belief in you, and surround yourself with a good bunch of people that are honest and true with you. And yeah, man, when you get a support group, family or friends or other artists, they keep you going when it's tough, and that belief in yourself really helps that as well.
It was great chatting with you, Will. I want to thank you for joining me at this time. And again, everybody, the name of the record is called Weightless. It is now available on iTunes. Just search the name Will Ardell, or better yet, go to his website at willardell.com, www.willardell.com, for more info on not just his current music, but his previous music as well. Again, Will, great chatting with you, and thank you for your time. I wish you the best in 2014 moving forward. Thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks, Kenny T. I appreciate it, and you take care.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. This will conclude the interview. And check out Chilling with Jeff and Kenny C live on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on tmvcafe.com. That is Will. I am Kenny. And thank you for listening, everyone.